Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim.
And I'm Tia.
And we are excited to be here today. And we're going to talk about a topic that I'm sure many of you can relate to in one way or another. And it's talking about bittersweet. And I actually pulled the quote from Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart. And by the way, as a follow-up to our last podcast, I still haven't gotten past that page that I was on. So I don't know if you surpassed me or not. We talked about that in the comparison.
Oh my gosh, too funny. No, I haven't either, to be honest with you. I've been so
I just kind of put it, so we're tied. We're tied. So anyway, the quote for today is: the bittersweet side of appreciating life's most precious moments is the unbearable awareness that these moments are passing. And that's by Marc Parent. So Brene, as she was preparing for this chapter in her book, she said that she went on all of her social media feeds and asked the question, what are the most prevalent bittersweet moments in your lives?
Yeah.
And so when she compiled all that research, and it was 40,000 responses.
That's a lot.
Huge. It's a huge. So I'll just name some of the ones that she listed, and then we can jump in and share ours.
Yeah.
Watching children grow up.
That was the first one that came into my mind.
Yeah. Watching children grow up. Leaving a job.
Yeah, I can see that.
Divorce or ending a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Graduating.
Yeah.
I guess maybe more watching your kids graduate, maybe. Death of a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Retiring.
I can see that one.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't experienced it, but I can see it.
Yes. Yes. How about this one? I've felt this one. Coming home from a vacation.
Yes. Oh yeah,
right?
That one hits home big time because I'm so ready to see the pets and just like sleep in my bed, but I don't want to leave like what you're experiencing.
Exactly. So, and then one that I would add is I've always felt it on Christmas night. When when everything has come to an end, like I'm kind of ready to have the busyness and the doing part to be over with, but then that whole magical feel that I feel around the holidays being over. So I'd often have this bittersweet feeling on Christmas night, and my kids would describe it as well on Christmas night, which is interesting. So for me, where bittersweet has been showing up is that, so I'm still down in Florida, and I have been down in Florida for the last 4 days, all by myself. And
first extended time by yourself.
Exactly.
Except for when you first went down there to get furniture or whatever.
Yes, exactly. It's been a very, very long time since I've had that. So my husband and my son are up in New York, and I, was super, super excited to have them leave, because the last 4 months just has been, we've been around each other in each other's space 24/7, and not in a bad way, but just they're always there. Yep. And I really, really love my alone time. So the sweetness part, the appreciating life's most precious moments, was I was really, really excited to have this precious time to myself.
Yeah.
And then when I dropped my son off at the airport and I came in through the garage and walked by his room that he was not in, I cried. Aww. I went into tears. It was this realization of as the quote says, unbearable awareness that the moments are passing. So let me say this too. while I was really excited to have this time to myself, I really had a great time with my son the last 4 months. I felt very close to him. We bonded, we chatted a lot. And, we would have fun talking about sports and the Nets, and he would tease me, and, we just would have this back and forth banter. And it just was where I had this one-on-one time with him, extended one-on-one time.
Mhm.
And now he's getting his own apartment.
Right. I was just thinking
And
that it was a little different
yeah,
knowing you weren't just going to be living with him again.
exactly. And that's when I walked in, and let me say, unexpectedly, I did not expect to have that wave of emotion. It caught me off guard,
Sure.
where I just walked by his room and it was empty,
Mhm.
and just felt like, okay, there's an awareness that the moments are passing.
Right.
And even the fact that he's moving out and getting his own apartment, I'm really excited for him,
Mhm.
because I know it's good for him. He has to, right?
Right.
We
Right.
want our kids to have their own wings and fly.
Right.
We want to, as moms, work ourselves out of a job. And the bittersweet, it's really hard.
Right.
It's really hard from the standpoint of just missing him. And then there's all this like flooding of, what am I going to do now? My role as mom is changing.
Sure. There's the whole mask of motherhood. Like, what is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
So just that little bit, there was so much bittersweet that came up for me. Yeah.
And
And
I do love that how it surprised you and it just kind of took you off guard and you allowed it. Like you allowed the tears to happen. You allowed yourself
yeah,
to experience what was coming up instead of shoving it down and being like, oh, don't be silly. What are you thinking? Or you like, it seemed like you were
yeah.
really open to the process of the bittersweetness.
And let me just tell you that when I had it, I used our I am whole
Did you
process.
really? Well, I'm not.
Yes, I honestly did use it. I honestly did, because I really needed the H&O. I really needed to honor what I was feeling and offer that part of myself. The comfort, the compassion of, it's okay. This is normal.
Right.
This is totally normal. Every
Okay.
parent whose child moves out or moves, goes through something like this. So that was number one. And then I was just like, it's okay. And I just allowed the tears to come. And it happened more than once. It wasn't just one round of I am whole or one round
Right. Never
of
is.
walking by his room. Because I have to go by his room every time I come in from the garage. So like whenever I go somewhere and I pull in,
Sure.
it's not near his bedroom. I walk right by and now I see the empty bed, and the life isn't there. His life, it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then yet at the same time, it's so weird. Bittersweet is just such a really weird phenomenon, because at the same time, there are times when I'm absolutely loving my time to myself.
Right.
I love the fact that I don't have to like cook at a certain time, or we don't have to eat at 5 o'clock when the workday is done.
Yeah.
I think like if I'm having a bowl of cereal or something, and I actually 2 nights in a row at 5:30 got in my car and I drove to the beach, and I just sat on the beach for like half an hour. I didn't do that once in 4 months that I was here.
So you're more in tune with what you need.
Oh, 100%. I'm listening to the beat of my own drum.
I love that.
So that's the sweetness, is that I am really listening to myself and doing what I want to do. I have the AC set at the temperature I want it to be at. It's like 74, 75,
little
where
things.
normally it's not, when they're here. I'm going to bed when I want, getting like that I was doing before, but I'm just having to only think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked about in the mask of motherhood and being in the role of mom for the last 23 years.
Right.
I honestly very rarely did that because I wear the people pleaser mask. You know, I have worn the people pleaser mask. I can wear the rescuer, fixer, caretaker, motherhood. So it's hard when you're wearing those masks
Right.
to go by the beat of your own drum, to just really do what you want when you want.
Yeah. And I think even without putting on the mask of motherhood and everything you discussed, just being a mom with kids at home, we can't fully be in flow with what our needs in. I mean, that's not realistic, right? Because we have things to do that come with being a mom that are the choice we make when we become a mother. You know, so it's whether we're abandoning ourselves or not, but to be able to just do whatever we want all the time when we have kids, that's not possible because it's a family unit. And so now stepping into this time and this ability to tap in and be like, oh, I want to go to the beach, or, oh, I want to eat, or I don't want to eat right now, or, oh, I like this temperature now. So you're experiencing that. And what I love about bittersweetness is the philosophy that I embrace and have since I learned of it, is the both and, because bittersweet is both and sadness and joy. All these other continuums of these emotions at the same time. And it shows that the human experience is not an either or experience. So bittersweet to me envelops our human journey, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good point. Because the like non-duality.
It is. And we don't fit in the boxes. And bittersweet shows us we don't have to fit into a box of this or that. Or you can't have, I mean, grief is another thing, right? You can, because, you know, like you mentioned the loss of a loved one.
Yeah, that was on here.
With grief, you know, particularly, you know, there's different situations, a tragic death versus, you know, an elderly person who's suffering or someone who's going through a disease that is ravishing their physical body or their brain or whatever. There's the relief that they're not suffering anymore, but then there's the joy. So it's kind of not joy. I don't know I'd have to look at the emotion wheel for my personal experience thinking of those situations. But then the sadness that you're not going to be able to have the conversation again or pick up the phone or whatever. So it's holding both. And it sounds like you were holding both. You were walking by his room, feeling the sadness, and then holding I'm going to get in my car. I walked by his room and I'm going to still keep going and get in my car and go sit at the beach and honor what honor and offer.
Yes.
You are experiencing in that moment.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. How about you? Do you have an example of bittersweet? You mentioned something like vacation, or do you have any other bittersweet
Vacation is a big one for me, but just because I love traveling, you know, especially when my daughters and I do our mother-daughter, they're just like my favorite thing because we explore, but then there's moments. So not even the bittersweetness of returning home. There's also the bittersweetness of letting go of the expectations of a vacation is going to be amazing all the time. I mean, there's moments where it's like, wait a minute. Okay. Everybody's not getting along. For example, we always we're so excited to go on vacation. But we also know what's going to happen. So are we creating this? We could potentially, because it has gotten less over the years as we've done more and more traveling, but often, especially if there's a substantial time zone difference, we get there and we all know, like, okay, we get from the plane, we get to where we're staying, and we all go to our respective corners just to decompress because, you know, you're tired from traveling. There's the time zone, the reacclimation, and then within 24 hours, we find our groove. So there's the bittersweetness of how amazing we're here and we're not quite ready to embrace it. And we're excited and all of this. And then of course, leaving, towards the end of the trip, I start thinking of, oh, I can't wait to get into bed and have my little kitty snuggle up against me, or, have the food that I can't have on a trip. It's so great to experience all that, but then you kind of start having those home cravings, and just that settling of the familiarity, but the sadness of, oh, we're not going to be able to do that anymore, or experience this culture, the places we've been. And then I think another bittersweetness one, is kind of similar to what you were talking about with your son. The kids off doing their thing and it's super exciting and I miss them. But then when I'm also like you, I adore my alone time. I'm such a homebody. For those of you who know me, it's like, do you want to go out later tonight? No, I kind of just want to stay home. I just love the quiet. I love looking around and having everything in its place, the orderliness that comes when, it sounds silly, but it brings me a deep comfort within, but then the chaos and the noise also fills me up. So you can have both.
Oh,
that's
a good one. That's good. I'm really getting that when you say that. Like, I barely have any garbage to take out because it's just me. I went to take the garbage out. There's like one bag in there versus when they're both here, it's full. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And then I clean the house and I can keep it clean. There's like not a lot so I love that. Yeah. I love that. And I will say, because I am not used to being alone like this, and maybe you've had more, like a little more practice, or you're in a place where you're appreciating it more at time. Like, I love being alone, but sometimes that real stillness is kind of like unnerving. Like, oh boy, this is really too quiet. Where are the people? Now I have to learn how to be okay with myself and okay in my own skin. And it's like,
there's nothing to distract me.
What's that?
There's nothing to distract you.
There's nothing to distract me. I have to be with me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, because I have been saying to myself, which has been really a good growth pattern for me, is how can I be a good friend to myself? And that's when I started to say, okay, and looking at the things that I have been doing, like taking myself to the beach. I took myself to the Salt Cave on Friday, which is, really nerd, so it's like, how can I be good company for myself?
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and what I love is, there's so many things, but it ties into like our June challenge, right? Getting outside your comfort zone. So you, with this bittersweetness you're experiencing, you are being given an incredible opportunity to try different things to get outside your comfort zone of being your own best friend right now.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize I had a challenge within me going on. And yes, this is the month of June. So this is perfect for the challenge of getting outside the comfort zone. It has been really uncomfortable for me. So we would love for you to share your challenge that you have for yourself. You can join our Facebook community, Masks Off Facebook community, if you're not already in there, and you can share with us there. If you watch us on YouTube, you can share comments there. You can send us an email. There's a variety of ways to get in touch with us to let us know what you're choosing as your challenge for this month.
Yeah, and we've got 2 more calls on our Summer Connect and Grow series. We've had 2 so far. And so we have another one in July, the first Tuesday in July and the first Tuesday in August at 12 noon. And if you want to join us, just you can register. You can find the registration link on our Facebook page, on Instagram, in our bio, all of that. We'd love to have you join us.
And you can always take I Am Whole, because that's evergreen at this point, and it can be self-led. So if you want to, I referenced I Am Whole in this episode. And if you want to learn or know more about that, you can sign up for that as well through Teachable.
Yeah. And
And
links
all
in
that
the show notes.
in the show notes, everything is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Such a great episode today. I'm so glad that we had this talk because it gave me an opportunity to process the bittersweetness that I've been going through this week.
I love it. I heard the both and of the
Both
bittersweet.
and
All
you
right,
feel complete.
everyone. That's
You feel
right.
complete.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.